Hello again, brothers and sisters in Christ, and I'm back again, and we're talking about divorce, which is rampant in so many marriages today. You know, even in the Christian marriages, let me not even say Christian marriages, because true followers of Christ will not divorce. A true follower, a true heaven seeker will not divorce. But in many marriages today, claiming they are Christian marriages under God, divorce is there too. So, and this is what restitution, sorry, we'll be discussing restitution in terms of couples who have actually divorced and they are heaven seekers. So, if you're a heaven seeker and you've been divorced, this is for you. If you're not a heaven seeker, you've been divorced and you're not a heaven seeker, don't bother about this message. But if you want to enter heaven, then this is for you. And also to the married couples, okay, this is for you, so that you can actually take your marriage vows seriously and not trash them. So it says, the writer says, if you are divorced and have married another person, you must make full restitution, otherwise, you would not make it into heaven. Restitution here means that you must put away your present spouse and be reconciled to your first spouse, or remain unmarried if your first spouse is still alive. 1 Corinthians 7:10-11, and also 1 Corinthians 7:39. Otherwise, you would not make it to heaven. So Corinthians talks about Paul, Paul talking about how, because I've read it quite a bit, Paul is, oh, I'm sorry, this is not, yes, Corinthians 7, that is. It talks about how Paul is encouraging husband and wives, do not put away your wife. While the other spouse is still alive, you're still bound to your spouse until death separates you. But once death separates you, you're free to move on to, hopefully, Paul commands us, and even God, right, to move on to, if you want to get remarried, remarry a Christian, not just anybody. If you are divorced and are now with the third, fourth, fifth spouse, etc., you must make full restitution, otherwise, you would not make it into heaven. Restitution in this case means you must put away your present spouse and be reconciled with your first spouse. So, this is all about going back to your first spouse, the first person you said I do to. As long as you're alive, that those are the people you should be restituting with. Nobody else, not your second spouse, third spouse. That the second and the third, those ones are not even spouses. Those ones are adulterers that you're committing adultery with. Okay, so the author continues to say, and be reconciled with your first spouse and remain unmarried. So your first spouse does not want to see your face. He cannot stand you, or she cannot stand you. And here you are, now that you've realized I wronged them, I must go and reconcile with them and apologize for my sins, and then undo all the wrongs and tell all the truth, and undo all the lies you told in the marriage, all these things while you were married to them. Now that you've realized all that truth, and your spouse just does not want to see your face, he or she is sick of you, enough is enough, all that attitude and arrogance, and the reason why somebody will have that pride, it's because they have not come to the knowledge that you have. Okay, that unforgiveness, that attitude, that pride will lead you to hell. Okay, so now that you've come to all this truth and somebody does not want to see your face, even though they claim they're Christians, you are to remain single and living a holy and righteous life as a single person if you are a heaven seeker. Okay? This is just for the heaven seekers, nobody else. If you're not a heaven seeker, you can do whatever you want to do. You can go and marry a third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 100th husband and or wife. But if you're a heaven seeker, your spouse is alive, you must remain single if she does not want to get reconciled with you. So let's continue to read here. So he says, Remain unmarried if your spouse is still alive. 1 Corinthians 7 again, 10 to 11, and 1 Corinthians 7:39. Otherwise, you would not make it to heaven. The conclusion is that restitution in the area of divorce leads to holiness. Because one is cleansed from the sin of adultery, which is divorce, and remarrying, as clearly taught in the book of Mark 10:11 to 12. And as a result, the cleansed individual becomes clean and pure, and thus holy. The next, oh sorry, so the writer says, you see the next strategic component of outer holiness entitled marriage. For more on adultery concealed in divorce and remarrying as a deadly strategy that the devil is using in this day and age. So the devil is really succeeding in this day and age because a lot of people are marrying and remarrying, or a lot of people are marrying, divorcing, and remarrying, or a lot of people are marrying and committing adultery and fornication, all these things. So adultery is for married spouses. Fornication is for the unmarried. So, so the devil is really winning in this area. So, with that being said, I will stop there, and the next restitution is in the area of occultic connection in a few minutes.